Welcome back to the Outfit Repeaters podcast. I'm Megan.
I'm Shelby.
And we are your hosts. Today we are going to be recapping Season 1, Episode 4, Pool Party. Before we get there, Shelby, what are you reading and what are you watching?
So I just finished Rain, and the ending is really sad. So if you know what happens to Mary, Queen of Scots, and you know how the season ends, or the series ends, so that's upsetting. And then still watching Frankie Grande's episode of Big Brother, and reading anything. I was just about to finish The Seamstress of New Orleans, and then I ran out of Spotify audio hours. So
tragic.
I have like 1 hour left, and you were finding out like her husband was. It starts off with her husband dying, and you're gonna figure out like they're telling the whole like how he died, and then I got this buddy. I was like, "Hey, girl, your free hours of audiobook have run out for the month," and I was like, "Spotify." Ugh.
That's literally diabolical.
So yeah, so I haven't started a new audiobook because I think my Spotify renews in a couple days, so I'll just finish it on up. So, but what about you?
Not really watching anything new. I'm still working my way through Dance Moms. I'm in season 7.
Love it.
A little bit of Desperate Housewives. Lots of Food Network in our house as always. And then reading, I'm still working through Queen of Shadows. And the audiobook I'm listening to is called The Lake of Lost Girls. And I've really been enjoying that.
Good. And yeah. Dance Moms, has Abby, like, been sentenced yet?
No. I think we're, like, right there. We are back in Pittsburgh for the first time in, like, almost 2 years.
Yeah. Has she gone back to the studio?
They just went back to the studio. They just got on the bus to go to Nationals, so this was, like, their last time at the studio. Abby is, like, weeping in the parking lot. So, yeah, I can't wait to see.
Did you know that building's a bus stop now?
What?
Yeah, it's like a bus bus storage facility.
Oh my god! Like for like school buses or for like commercial buses like Greyhounds or whatever?
I think like commercial buses.
Interesting. I wonder if they ever fix that busted ass parking lot.
Yes, because you can't have buses in that busted parking lot.
You can't. You just can't. Because
Christy and Kelly were saying on their podcast, because they're still in Pittsburgh, and they were like, I drove by the studio the other day on my way home, and they fixed the parking lot.
All these years later.
And all it took was it to be turned into a Greyhound bus lot.
Yeah. I guess Greyhound has that money that Abby was embezzling.
That's true.
Or that Abby didn't have because she was embezzling.
Just wait till you get to they do her like 24 hours before Abby goes to prison. And it's like a vlog almost.
Oh my god.
This
is actually not a Lizzie McGuire podcast. This is a true crime podcast about Abby Lee Miller.
So, oh my gosh. Yes, it shows her having her last party before she goes off. She called it her staycation. Her year in prison. And I was like, Abby!
I don't even know what to say to that. It's nothing says staycation like state tax dollars.
You know, Abby, girl, someone just don't let her be in public anymore. She doesn't need to be in public anymore.
Well, are we ready to get to Season 1, Episode 4, Pool Party?
I'm more than ready.
Okay.
We have a lot of thoughts.
We have thoughts. We've been building to this episode since episode 1.
Yes.
So here we finally are. So Season 1, Episode 4, Pool Party, original air date February the 2nd, 2002. We open at gym class, and the girls are running like a military-style gauntlet. They're like running tires, they're doing monkey bars, they're elbow crawling underneath like a rope type structure through like dirt. Animated Lizzie says, "Welcome to my nightmare."
Same.
And actually like relatable. Same
yes.
Lizzie. Like sidebar, was your gym class ever like this? Like, my
Absolutely
gym class was never even so intense that we, like, sweated unless we, like, wanted to. Like, unless we're playing, like, dodgeball and you're just, like, into it. Like, there was nothing required of the gym curriculum for me that ever required, like, this.
Absolutely not. No. This is all Coach Kelly's idea.
It is.
And it's preparing Hillary Duff for Cadet Kelly.
So true.
Of course. So, but yeah, no, I absolutely don't know of anyone who had a gym experience like this. And if you did, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Animated Lizzie even says, third period gym, like, hello, I wasn't going for that sticky, sweaty look when I got dressed this morning. And I have to say two things here. Number one, we know that this was the original pilot, and for whatever reason, whether it be Disney Plus or actually the way that these aired, which it seems like it's the way that they aired, this ends up being episode 4 rather than the pilot. It is physically jarring to see how much younger they are in this episode versus actual episode 1.
Yes.
And the other thing I had to say is just a moment for Lizzie's butterfly clips, because she's got the classic 90s girl butterfly clip hairstyle with, like, the little rows and a butterfly clip at the end of each row, which was a favorite hairstyle for me personally.
I wrote on the Google Docs somewhere so many butterfly clips.
So many butterfly clips.
I think it's when her and Miranda are on the bus, because Miranda has them in. So you get a double dose of butterfly clips. Yes,
absolutely. So we get a bunch of different shots of different girls practicing different sports and kind of, like, clicked off via each sport. We've got the soccer girls. We've got the, like, field hockey girls. And Lizzie is just doing this, like, obstacle course for whatever reason. And I also said, this is fully and completely giving pilot, which begs the question, why is it episode 4? However, I did tell you off mic that I had a theory. I mean, and this is nothing like groundbreaking, but for me, watching this in the order that we've watched it so far, I would not have kept watching this show if this had been episode 1. This was just not that interesting to me. This was the most difficult episode for me to recap so far. So, you know, I'm guessing that was probably a very calculated move, because they had this episode that was not enough to hook an audience into coming back for more. For me personally.
That's reasonable. And I always, whenever I'm watching or rewatching it, I hate watching the pilot episode. Like, especially
they're just so cringe. It's just so cringy.
Yeah, the only way I like watching a pilot is if I'm watching, like, a long drama show, like Desperate Housewives pilot, phenomenal. Pretty Little Liars pilot, gagged. So
she's gagged.
I still to this day watch that first episode and I'm like, I get that text. I'm still here and I know everything. Chills.
Absolutely. Lizzie's going through all these clicks, and then Animated Lizzie says, according to my mom, I'm at a very difficult point in my life. She uses the words hormones a lot. And I'm like, that's just, it's relatable. It just is.
The close-up of Joe's face when she's like, you're going
hormones. It's like, very reminiscent of stick with your buddy.
They're like, hey, once we have an idea, we're rolling with it.
Yes. And that's fine. We love consistency.
True.
We love a consistent queen.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Animated Lizzie continues on. She says everyone's going through the same physical and psychological changes as I am, and we all just handle them differently. And except for chat rooms and brain surgeon Barbies, things aren't all that different. And that's what makes us who we are. I know she's trying to help, so I tell her that she is, because that's pretty much the only way I can get out of my room. Which also relatable, like just having to tell your parents like what you think they want to hear to get them to leave you alone.
Yes, and as Lizzie is walking out the door, and several times in this episode, she has on very high platform flip-flops.
For sure, like, for sure. This is like peak platform peak platform. I can't even do it. Peak platform flip-flop. In this episode. Wow, that was literally so embarrassing.
Peak platform flip-flop. That is hard.
Okay. All right. We'll
That
just
is
make it
hard.
look easy by doing it right the first time. So going,
I had to think about it.
That's okay. That's
really
fair.
think hard about it.
So now after gym class, we are on the bus with Lizzie and Miranda, and they are making something like maybe like dream catchers. Is that what you were kind of getting from this?
It's either that or some kind of keychain. Because you see
okay.
it later in Lizzie's locker, and it kind of looked like a keychain.
They're like braiding something, which initially led me to think like, oh, like friendship bracelets or something,
Yeah.
but I knew that they were too big to be a friendship bracelet.
Yeah, I think it was some sort of keychain.
Yeah. But here, animated Lizzie introduces us to Miranda. Again, it's giving pilot.
Yes.
Meet my best friend, Miranda Sanchez. I'm the only person who knows that she has little dress-up outfits for her Beanie Babies. Not the kind of information you can trust with a lot of people.
I didn't know they had dress-up outfits for Beanie Babies, and I probably had 200 Beanie Babies when I was a
So
child.
true. So true. And they conned us into thinking that they were going to be valuable one day. So Miranda asks for a wish bead for either this keychain, dream catcher, whatever that they're making. Gordo says, okay, you do realize this is a completely pointless exercise. And here we go with Gordo being a hater.
Gordo's voice is so high, like,
It
compared
is.
to, like, even, this is the only episode his voice sounds like that.
It does, but the weird thing is that, like, physically, he does not look that different from what was, like, air date episode 1. So, like, the only noticeable change is the change in his voice.
Oh, and speaking of noticeable change, Hillary Duff either, like, hadn't had braces yet, she didn't have her side teeth in yet.
How did I not notice that?
Yeah, on one side. I think it's just on one side. But
my
either
gosh.
she had braces and it needed to be moved, or they hadn't grown in yet. But I was like, wait a second. Yeah.
Wow.
So, but yeah, I was like, they are so much younger in this one.
Yeah. So they keep going on about the wish bead. Animated Lizzie says, I've known Gordo since I was 1 day old. He's smart and funny and really creative and is pretty much right about everything.
You got to give it to him.
You do. And so now you get a shot of Kate and Claire and the other popular girls in the back of the bus playing Truth or Dare. And of course, hater Gordo says, it's a game based completely on humiliation and embarrassment. Is there not enough to go around?
Oh my.
And so Lizzie says, Kate Sanders, she used to be our other best friend until she bought a bra. Now she won't speak to us. And so here's the lore as to why Kate is no longer part of the friend group, because Kate got boobs.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Middle school girls, man.
Yeah. And so Miranda says, man, it must be nice to wake up one day with a chest and realize you're not a social zero anymore.
And that's something I've never understood with the two of them, because yeah, maybe they weren't popular, but they seem to be well liked by their peers. Like,
absolutely.
So I don't understand the whole, and maybe, you know, like, we're not supposed to know they're not social zeros now, but it seemed like they got along with just about everybody. Like,
it seems that way, but I'm also thinking, like, I feel like I was very much in their position when I was in, like, middle school, high school. I was not popular by any means. I definitely wasn't a loser either. I got along with a lot of people, and I had friends in a lot of different circles. And now looking back on that, like, having wished that maybe I was popular or, you know, whatever. Now looking back on that, I'm like, you know what? It actually is kind of a blessing that I was able to fly under the radar.
yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of akin to Lizzie, Gordo, and Miranda. They get along with everybody. Everybody's nice to them. They're friendly, but they're able to fly under the radar. And, you know, 10 years from now, they'll look back and be like, you know what? Thank goodness for that.
Yeah, you don't want to peak in middle school. Like, it's all downhill from there.
Truly. So enter Danny Kessler. Danny walks up to Miranda and Lizzie and kind of peeks over their seat at what they're making. And he says, hey, cool. And Lizzie says, huh? Oh, thanks.
The music
Animated
that
Lizzie
played
says,
when he walked up, I was just like, oh my gosh.
oh my gosh, I had that as a note and I didn't even say it. I said, enter Danny Kessler with the va-va-voom background music.
And this is his, like, only appearance in the whole episode, right?
Yeah.
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 Oh,
So Animated Lizzie says, his name is Danny Kessler, and he's the closest any of us are ever going to get to Brad Pitt. And so Claire and the girls in the back of the bus are being obnoxious. Claire's saying, Danny, someone back here wants to kiss you, like pointing at Kate, trying to embarrass Kate.
And Kate's doing
Danny,
the whole, oh my gosh, stop.
I know.
Stop.
And Danny says, it's a burden. Lizzie says, we share your pain. And like, I'm proud of Lizzie for this moment because she is not one that's just known for those quick little quips. Like, that's very much like Gordo and Miranda's territory. So like, good for you, girl.
True.
So here Danny starts to talk about his family's water park and says that he's having a massive pool party there on Saturday. Do you think you guys would want to come? Directed at Lizzie and Miranda. And both of them say, whoa. And Danny says, great, I'll put you guys on the list. And then Claire starts hollering from the back of the bus again. And Danny says, duty calls. Now who do I have to kiss? And I'm like, the swagger on this 12-year-old.
Oh my gosh. I wrote on here, one, just the teacher in me is being like, why are you standing up on the school bus? Why are you standing up? And then I was like, if that was my bus on my chaperone, no, not on my bus. That would not be happening. No one's walking around, and definitely nobody's kissing. Absolutely not.
I feel like every bus driver I ever had was just so crazy strict and like mean. So yeah, this would have never flown on any bus I ever rode either.
No, like them just getting up and walking around, no bus driver would ever allow that. And also just like the Social Zeros thing, they just got invited to like one of the biggest parties of the year apparently.
Yeah.
So they're not Social Zeros.
Clearly not. Mm-hmm. So now we are back at the McGuire house. Sam and Matt are like tinkering with something. And the first thing I have to say here is that this kitchen is completely different from the kitchen that we have through the rest of the series. I mean, even like layout wise, it's not just color scheme and fixtures. It's like a completely different setup than you see in episode 1.
Exactly. I noted that too. Did you see like the print on the cabinets? Like, it's
no.
literally, so it's, I guess, some kind of flower print, but it's literally like they just took a stamp and like stamped it all over like random places on the cabinet. And it's not just on the cabinet, it's on the entire kitchen. Like, not on one set of cabinet, the entire one. And it was just giving pilot. It was giving, we don't know what's
giving pilot.
It's giving, we don't know what's going on yet.
Yeah. And the other thing I said right here, when you're seeing Sam and Matt doing their, like, tinkering, whatever they're doing, I said it was also kind of funny that Matt does not look so much younger than Lizzie. Like, we said that Gordo looks kind of the same as he does in episode 1, and Matt also looks kind of the same as he does in episode 1. So really the most jarring difference in ages that you get is, like, Lizzie, Miranda, and I would even argue Kate looks very much younger.
Yes, Kate looks a lot younger.
So Lizzie is telling her mom about the pool party, and Joe says, oh, honey, I still remember my first major party. Matt tries to invite himself to the pool party, and Joe quickly shuts that down. Matt says to Sam, well, I guess there's no point in asking you, is there?
Quick-witted.
And Sam says, I guess not. And so Lizzie says, I can't believe Danny Kessler spoke to me. And Sam says, and this is important because... And Joe says, kind of a hunk in training. Spends most of the bus ride home swapping spit with one girl or another. Matt and Sam both go, ew, there's kissing on your bus. And then Lizzie says, not all the time. Mostly at strip poker. Kidding. And I was like, Lizzie with a joke.
What?
I know.
Also,
so out of character.
I know. And, like... Matt says, ew, there's kissing on, like, out of disgust, and Sam is not happy. He is enraged, like we're about to see.
Sam's flabbers are gasted.
Yeah.
So anyway, they keep going on about the kissing for a while, and Joe says, oh no. Joe goes back on the hormones. She says, you do have the number for the executive in charge of hormones to Sam about, is there anything we can do about this kissing? And so Matt says, Dad, I'm not really sure about this party. And Sam says, he has a point. And Lizzie says, I am also prepared to feed this entire book to your gerbils. And I have to say, again with the animals. We already had the class pet that came home. He was slated to bring home a different class pet the following week. And there's gerbils in this home too?
No.
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 So, Joe says, obviously you can't miss Danny Kessler's pool party, right? And Animated Lizzie says, she's being so great. Maybe I don't give her enough credit. And then Joe says, when is it? And Lizzie says, Saturday. And Joe goes to the calendar, and here we get one of those, like, screaming in the background After Effects. Zooming in on a picture of Nana.
They did Nana so wrong.
They did, and then there's, like, a car crash sound at the end of this. So there's, like, screaming and then a car crash.
They did her so
Joe says, Lizzie, that's Nana's birthday. And Lizzie starts to go, no, Mom, no. And Joe says, oh, honey, I wish there was something I could do. Lizzie says, it's not fair, Mom. I have to be there. And Joe says, there will be lots of other times. And Lizzie says, but is Nana going to hate me? And we know right here where this is going.
Oh, no.
We know right here where this is going. Lizzie thinks that she's going to get out of Nana's birthday party in order to go to the pool party. So, of course, Joe says, never. Why would she? Lizzie says, well, for missing her party. And Sam says, and I thought we were getting off easy. Because he also knows what direction this is about to go.
Right.
Matt says, bozo, there's no way you're bugging on Nana's party. And I'm like, okay, early aughts. Okay. He calls her a bozo and says buggin' all in the same sentence. Joe says, Lizzie, your grandmother's turning 80. That's a big deal. And Lizzie says back, 2 seconds ago, my party was epic. Joe says, well, this is a major family event and you're going to be there. And Lizzie says, okay, can I point out that Nana did not come to my birthday this year? And Sam says, because she was in the hospital having her hip replaced. So we all go on about Lizzie's happiness. She's having her angsty teen moment. And Joe says, end of discussion, dinner's ready. And Lizzie says, and I'm also not hungry. Matt says, be thankful you have one easy child.
Oh my gosh.
So now we are back at school, and Lizzie is breaking the news to Miranda that she cannot go to the party because of Nana's birthday. And Miranda says, your parents are so Blair Witch. And Lizzie says, you can go if you want to. Miranda says, I'm not going without you. Would you go without me? And Lizzie says, of course not.
Can we just
and so here comes Gordo.
Hold on, can we pause for 1 second
Yeah.
and say, I don't understand. I know Blair Witch was a scary movie, but I don't understand the context of this at all. Like,
it does seem like a little out of left field. Like, I feel like there's another, like, more appropriate reference that could have been made that would have made more sense than this did.
Was the one where they're getting scared in the woods of, like,
yeah,
ghosts.
It is.
And they have the camera angles, like, down here, and they're just like,
yeah.
That one doesn't, I don't get that one.
Yeah.
That's an X for the writers on that one.
And very much, like, not an appropriate, like, reference for a show geared towards, like, middle schoolers, like, early teenagers, tweens. Like, you probably at that age have not seen Blair Witch, so, like, this is definitely a reference that is lost on the target audience for this show.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. There was no way I was watching that. I still actually don't think I've seen that movie. I just know what it is.
So Gordo comes up and he starts ranting about something, and when he clocks that the girls are not listening to him and they don't care what he's talking about, he says, thanks, your support means the world to me. And Lizzie says, sorry, Gordo, I'm in the middle of a crisis. And Gordo says, yeah, tell me, I could use a good crisis. I'm so sick of listening to all these brain-dead nitwits tittering on about Danny Kessler's pool party.
And we find out
Yikes.
where he's projecting.
Yikes. So Miranda says, we may not be your target audience. And Gordo says, oh no, you too? Lizzie McGuire, I'm disappointed in you. Lizzie says, Gordo, give me a break. I'm allowed to be shallow once in a while. And so Gordo says, look, in life you have two choices. One, you get to be super cool and popular for a few insignificant years of school. Or two, you get to become a valuable member of society and gloat about it at every reunion for decades afterwards. You can't have both. Miranda says, where do you get this stuff? And Gordo says, my parents are both shrinks. I read their case files. oh, I should probably warn you, if you think you guys don't like your body now, just wait. And I'm like, I totally forgot that Gordo's parents are shrinks. And it's like, this explains so much.
It does. But it's also a HIPAA violation that they're letting their son read their case file.
1,000,000%. Can you imagine having a therapist and then finding out that their like 12, 13-year-old son has been reading like their notes from your visits?
Oh my
Mortifying.
God. Such a Gordo thing though, but it is the lore behind Gordo.
It is.
That both of his parents are shrinks. And
Absolutely.
why he's so insightful.
Absolutely. So here comes Kate, and Kate is directing her attention only to Miranda and says, Miranda, your mom, doesn't she know how to make those Mendy tattoos? And Miranda is just like basking in this attention. And she's like, yeah. And Kate says, because for Danny's party, we were thinking this would be so totally hot. And I'm like, ew.
Ew.
Just ew. Like,
Also,
you're
like,
12.
Miranda's acting like Kate is her former best friend, so she's probably had a million conversations with Kate. So why is she acting like she's standing in the presence of greatness? Miranda, girl, get a grip. Get a grip.
Miranda basically volunteers her mom for this, and Lizzie interjects that maybe you should ask your mom first. And Miranda's like, yeah, of course I'll ask her, but she'll definitely do it. And Kate says, great, so maybe after school we should hang. Miranda says, absolutely, we're always up for hanging.
And she does like we're always up for hanging, like an arm, like,
yeah,
gesture, like, oh girl, this is just cringe.
Yeah. And so after Kate walks off, she sees the look on Lizzie's face, and Miranda says, what was I supposed to do? She was standing right there. I couldn't just blow her off. And Lizzie said, yeah, I was standing right there, and you just blew me off.
Actually, Miranda, you can, because this is the same girl that, one, you called a snot-faced snothead a week ago. And two, this is the same girl that when you wore the same outfit on picture day, when she was like, you're not wearing that. And she was like, actually, looks like I am. So,
I know.
Miranda, girl, yes, you can. You just didn't want to.
Truly. Like, get a grip.
Yes, get a grip, Miranda. That's the title of this episode.
So this, of course, begs the question that is Miranda now going to the party? Mm. And so Miranda says, what, you think just because my mom's going to draw some fake tattoos on their skin, I would just do that to you? Just completely change my mind and go? And then she says, would you be mad? And, like, of course she would. Of course. And, like, I said here that the thing is that Lizzie wouldn't have been mad if when they were having this conversation 5 minutes ago, and she said, you can totally still go if you want to. And Miranda says, absolutely not. I'm not going without you. Mm-hmm. If Miranda in that moment had said, you know what? Yeah, I think I am going to go as long as that's okay with you. Lizzie wouldn't have been mad here. But because she just, like, changes her tune because of this molecule of attention from Kate, this is why it's problematic.
Yes. Which Gordo points out later.
Yeah. So now it's time to get on the bus, and Kate gets on the bus and says, come on, Randa, let's sit back. And Lizzie goes, Randa? And like, same girl, because this is literally so cringe.
It is. It's so bad. And then the guy picking his nose.
Yes.
And
so
then,
now because Miranda is not sitting with Lizzie, Lizzie gets stuck sitting next to a sweaty nose picker.
Why is he so sweaty that early in the morning?
Oh, I thought this was probably the school bus ride home. But
oh, okay. That makes more sense.
But still, why is he so sweaty? What you got to be so sweaty about?
Maybe he just got off the obstacle course in PE.
Yeah. Probably, because maybe. I would be that sweaty if I had to do that obstacle course.
Literally, like maybe he has last period PE.
Which honestly, like that's kind of like an ideal situation because then you can go home and shower.
Right. You don't have to worry about the rest of the day.
But not an ideal situation for your seatmate on the bus.
True. Yuck.
And
I don't know we never know where they live, but in Alabama, it's hot on those buses after school.
So hot.
So ridiculously hot. So the situation's only being made worse.
Yep. And so now we are back at the McGuire home, and Jo is on a phone call. And she's apparently volunteered to do something that she shouldn't have volunteered herself to do because now she wants to get out of it. Lizzie and Matt are fighting over the remote control. And Jo is still trying to think of ways to get out of doing this newsletter that she's volunteered herself to do. And Jo says, I have to get out of this. So what's a good lie? Well, a lie is always more convincing than the truth, isn't it? I mean, you can't argue with, my hard drive crashed, I don't know what happened. And of course, Lizzie is all over this like a cat on catnip.
Clocked it.
Immediately. And so Lizzie says, Mom, I think I might be sick the day of Nana's birthday. And Jo says, hold on to the person she's on the phone with. And she says, you're going. Get your mind around it. And so Lizzie says, it's okay for you to bug out on stuff you don't want to do, but it's not okay for me.
I mean, she's not wrong.
True. And so they continue to argue about this, and Jo tells whoever she's on the phone with that she needs to call them back. And Matt says to Jo, I don't know what you see in her. And poor animated Lizzie says, it's okay. I don't need my mother. I don't need my best friend. I don't need anybody. I'll be a loner independent, a woman who runs with the wolves.
And I've noticed in this episode, we get so much more internal monologue. Like, not even with animated Lizzie, it's just her thoughts. Which makes sense, because at the time, the series was called What's Lizzie Thinking?
What is Lizzie Thinking? Yeah.
So that makes more sense why animated Lizzie is not always, in this episode, on the screen when she's having internal thoughts.
Yeah. And so Sam goes up to Lizzie's room to try and talk to her. Animated Lizzie says, great, they've sent in the understudy.
And the look she gives him is just like, what do you want?
Yeah. And, like, all I had to say about this was, like, the angst. The angst. I felt it.
When he's like, I haven't seen you all day. And she goes, I look pretty much the same. Would not have flown in my house, just saying.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So Sam tucks his tail between his legs and heads back downstairs to Jo. And Jo says, that's it? That's all you got? And Sam says, hey, I got a body part in the room. That's more than you can say. And Jo says, but she won't talk to anyone. I mean, she hasn't even called Miranda, which is really weird. And Sam says, okay.
So just like, maybe she just doesn't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah. And so Jo says, don't you care what's going on? And Sam says, yes, fine, I'll go back in and ask her. She's like, well, you can't do that. This is not your area of expertise. And so here, Jo starts trying to say, like, go in, look for the hairbrush, but don't ask any direct questions and don't make eye contact and don't look at her.
Oh my gosh.
And so, make a completely neutral observation on an unrelated topic. And then Sam says, so I back into the question. And Jo says, yeah, no. Don't even go near it unless she's making eye contact with you and speaking in complete sentences. And Sam says, does this take long? Should I bring some trail mix? Which, relatable. I always need to know, like, do I need to pack a snack for this?
Yeah, you don't want to get that low blood sugar.
Yeah, for sure not. And so you then see Sam and Lizzie in the backyard, and you can clearly see that Lizzie's really opening up to Sam. And you can see the look on Jo's face at, like, how much this crushes her. Like, you can tell that she is enjoying seeing this tender moment between father and daughter, because those tend to be so rare when they're teenagers. But you can also tell that it really upsets her that Lizzie didn't open up to her, but she opened up to Sam instead.
Right. And I noted that the picture of her and her dad talking, like, very much having, like, an in-depth conversation, like, really made me tear up, and I might cry thinking about it, because that's so, like, me and my dad. Especially when I was Lizzie's age, I really talked to him a lot. And so having that, I still do. I talk to him all the time, every day. And I talk to my mom every day too. But just having that, like, tender father-daughter moment was just, it was so sweet. And I loved it. And
I don't know what that's like.
And that's on trauma. And so, I don't know. I just was like, oh, that's so sweet.
It was sweet.
And it's, like I said, like, it's just, like, that's what I like about this show. It's regular, everyday moments that other people can relate to.
Absolutely. So after this heart-to-heart at the McGuire house, we are back at school, and it's Lizzie and Gordo in the library playing cards. And Lizzie says, I can't believe she would just do that to me. Just completely blow me off. Oh, she's such a total hypocrite, which she will never admit. And Gordo says, well, you can't really admit to being a hypocrite because then, well, you're not a hypocrite.
I love her next line here.
Lizzie says, Gordo, what goes on in your head? Is it just like one continuous game show? Do you know what that immediately made me think of?
What?
The Mexican game show that they all end up on where they have to like eat corn, creamed corn out of the, like that vat.
Yes, that is such a lost episode to me because
yes,
I forget about it all the time. And whenever it pops up on Disney Plus when I've been watching it, I'm like, I completely forgot about this episode.
I kind of wonder, because this is probably the second or third time this has happened just over the span of 4 episodes, where there's been like one tiny breadcrumb of an episode that we get later. And
it's an Easter egg, like Taylor.
Right, I'm like, are these like actual Easter eggs, or is this just like complete coincidence? Like, I don't know how much thought they're putting into like a tween Disney Channel sitcom, but like, I'm gonna just pretend that they are Easter eggs because that's the way our brains work.
Yes, that's how Mother Taylor has conditioned our brains.
She's trained us.
She's trained us well. Classical conditioning.
Yes. So Gordo says, if you want my opinion, and Lizzie says, no, I just want your aces. And he says, well, you're getting both. Give your mom a break. It's no great deal being grown up. My mom's idea of fun is watching CNN while she's on the treadmill. Hey, I'd snap too. And I said, is this what we have to look forward to in middle age?
I put LOL next to the side.
Yikes.
Especially when, like, I mean, she's a therapist, so, like, I know she's got a busy job, and, like, listening to people all day, you can't just, like, let your mind wander.
No, and, like, why would the one activity you do in your free time be something that is also so serious? You know, you're watching, like, the 24-hour news cycle, like, don't you want to watch Real Housewives?
And, like, watch something brainless, like, oh, man.
Actually, I'm going to redact that former statement. She would not want to watch Housewives because Housewives, she would just be analyzing behavior because she's a shrink. So
for sure,
she
wouldn't want to watch Dance Moms either because Abby Lee Miller is a whole, like, it's not just a case file. She would need a whole file cabinet.
So true. And this is like a complete aside from this episode, but I did see on, I think, like TikTok a few weeks ago that like people think that people who enjoy reality television are like unintelligent, like scum of the earth kind of people. But in actuality, the people who enjoy reality television are some of the most intelligent people, because who would want to sit there and pick apart behavioral patterns of people for fun?
Literally.
Smart people.
Yes,
smart people.
Smart people do. I was literally thinking the other day, I was like, I think I want to watch the Kardashians from season 1.
Oh. That would be a journey.
I've done it before, but but you know us, we don't watch anything new.
No.
We
and
just
that's
watch...
our anxiety.
I have to know what's coming.
I mean, we are who we are, and we own that.
Yeah, we don't deny it.
And we share that with the world.
The last time I watched something new was back in the summer when I watched Dairy Girls, and now it's one of my rewatch shows.
Nice.
Did you watch that?
No.
Dairy Girls?
No.
You need to watch it. You would like it.
I've watched a couple of episodes, but the accents are so hard. They're so hard for me.
But when I was first watching it, I had to turn on. Well, I always watch. I can't even hear the TV without my...
I can't hear without my subtitles.
Oh, I can't even hear. I can't even see without my subtitles. Yeah. But now I've watched it so many times, like, I get it. I can remember what they're saying. All right, anyways, we digress again.
So Lizzie says, listen, Judge Judy, if I thought you were going to take their side, I wouldn't have started this conversation. So don't even try defending Miranda, because there's nothing you can say. And Gordo just kind of gives her a look, and she says, fine, say it. Gordo says, I just don't see how you can be so mad at her for doing the one thing you want to do so much.
He's got a point.
He does. And Lizzie says, that's not it, you know? I don't even care if she goes. And Gordo says, you just don't want her to have a good time. And Lizzie says, no, because clearly that is what it is. Mm-hmm. And here our hearts break. Gordo says, look, I know how you feel. My best friend was going to go to this party without me. And Lizzie says, so you can't go either? And Gordo says, I wasn't invited.
Oh, no. so bad for Gordo several times.
Same.
Because
Same.
earlier in the episode, he was talking about how he was picked last at PE or whatever. And then now he wasn't invited to the party.
Yeah.
Poor Gordo.
Yeah. So Lizzie says that stinks, and Gordo says, yeah, but there are just some things you get used to, and let me tell you, that isn't one of them.
Salt in the wind.
And Lizzie says, so was your friend going anyway? And Gordo says, turns out she can't. It's her grandmother's birthday. And I say right here, this is the first time we actually see Gordo look at Lizzie with hearts in his eyes. Like, you see it here. It's so sweet. I love it. Oh
my gosh.
So now we are back at the McGuire home, and Lizzie is talking to Joe. And Joe says, hey, well, I wanted to be the one to tell you that it looks like you get to go to the pool party after all. And Lizzie says, why? And Joe says, I just got off the phone with Nana, and she's going to Las Vegas with her girlfriends from the club. They have entered themselves into the World Series of Poker.
What if I see Nana in Las Vegas this weekend?
Oh my gosh. Well, here I said, so one of Lizzie's grandmothers is a windsurfing instructor, and the other is a poker master. Honestly, the McGuires are so interesting.
They are. They are. We need more. We need more.
We do. And so then they talk about the hairbrush routine and how Sam is so bad at it. And Joe says, I guess all I'm trying to say, honey, is I know that we talk... No. I guess all I'm trying to say, honey, is that I know we talk a lot. I talk a lot, okay, about the changes you're going through. But just try and remember that the only thing I want here is the only thing I've ever wanted. And that's just for you to be happy, okay? And then she says, come here. And they hug. And here I say, this is where we see that Lizzie has bead curtains over her closet. And I do just need to point out that I did have bead curtains over my bedroom door, purchased from Limited 2 because of Lizzie.
Yes, I did too. I had them in my door frame.
Yes.
And oh my gosh, I loved those.
So now we are downstairs in the backyard, and Lizzie and Gordo are tie-dyeing her sheets. And the whole family is watching, observing, clapping. And having a good time. And so Animated Lizzie says, as it turns out, I decided not to go to Danny's party.
This was such a long monologue from Animated Lizzie.
It was. Gordo says it's always useful to confound your peers by not doing the thing that's expected of you. Like, okay, shrink parents, we get it.
Literally, only Gordo would use the words, confound your peers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I'm 30 years old, and I had to be like, what does that mean?
And so she says, so maybe I missed the defining event of my adolescence. But then again, maybe the defining moment is realizing that there really is no such thing. And so now we've got Lizzie and Gordo laying on top of a picnic table. And Gordo says truth or dare, and Lizzie says, you hate that game. And Gordo says, I know, just pick truth. Am I a complete germ? And Lizzie says, no. Gordo says, on a scale of 1 to 10, Lizzie says, Gordo, I'm not going to give you a germ rating. And here, Miranda shows up with a bunch of teeny tiny braids all over her head.
I saw that.
And so Gordo asks Miranda, scale of 1 to 10, what's my germ rating? And no thought, no questions asked, Miranda says 7. And Gordo says, better than I expected. And so Miranda says, so are you speaking to me? And Lizzie says, do I have to call you Randa? And Miranda says, only if you have a death wish. And then she points to the tie-dye and says, that's cool. When did you do that? And Gordo says, today. Lizzie says that she and Gordo did it. And so here we find out that the tattoo that Miranda's mom gave Kate made her ankle swell, and she totally blamed Miranda, and Miranda had to sit with her the whole time in the girls' locker room.
Kate, why
oh wait, I have to backtrack here. Miranda says, well, if it makes you feel better, I had a stunningly bad time. And Gordo says, at the risk of sounding petty, go on. And I said, I am Gordo. Gordo is me. And here Miranda says, Kate's ankle swelled up from something in the Mendy, and she totally blamed me. So I had to sit with her the whole time in the girls' locker room.
Why didn't she just call her mom to come get her?
Great question. Great question. So Gordo realizes that this is definitely a girl's moment and makes his exit. And Miranda says, so is he your new best friend? And Lizzie said, you know what? I decided I really didn't like that term. The only time you ever really use it is when you're mad at someone for not acting like a best friend, that you never have to say they are when you're not mad. And I said, this is absolutely giving After School Special.
Lizzie, go on and finish this part. I have thoughts on that.
Oh, and then Miranda says, okay, but is it okay if you're still mine? And Lizzie says, yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, so between that last thing she says that is so profound and the internal monologue of Lizzie, I'm like, that's it. We don't need any more episodes because Lizzie is self-actualized.
She's cracked the code.
like, no 12-year-old thinks like that except for Gordo, and he's not real. He's written by writers that are 30 years old.
Yeah. So, and also, like, can't relate. My best friends are my best friends. I don't just call them my best friends when I'm, like, mad at them.
Right. Like, did Gordo convince you to tell Miranda that?
It seems like he might have scripted that moment himself.
Did he read that in his parents' case file? Like,
Probably.
Oh my gosh.
And so at the end here, instead of outtakes, we get a back porch dance montage that includes Joe, Sam, Matt, Miranda, Gordo, and Lizzie. And I love this moment.
It was sweet. They were like, yeah.
With Why Can't We Be Friends playing in the background.
Oh man, that was on the Lizzie McGuire soundtrack.
Oh,
I think I still have that CD. It's around here somewhere because my mom got rid of all my CDs except my Taylor Swift ones, my Hillary Duff ones, and I think that's it. But I think they're somewhere around here. I'm going to try to find it for next week. It's an artifact.
I thought that I had the Lizzie McGuire movie soundtrack somewhere. I might still have it somewhere. I do. I can tell you for a fact that the Hillary Duff Metamorphosis album still lives in my car, to this day.
I know one Christmas I got the Lizzie McGuire series, and then the movie, it came in a 2-pack. So, the CDs. I know they're around here somewhere. I'm going to try to find it for next week. It can be our artifact of the week.
Oh. And here, children, a relic. This is called a compact disc.
Oh my.
So, what was your outfit of the episode?
I honestly wasn't even paying attention because everything else was so bad.
Yeah. Mine was just at the end when Lizzie and Gordo in their backyard are dyeing the sheets, and she's in platform flip-flops, of course. Miniature space buns and overalls.
Oh, I like the overalls. I noticed the butterfly clips too.
Yes.
The little rose and the butterfly clips. So
the butterfly clips are a given. Like, I feel like, we've already said it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There was one other moment I wanted to point out when Miranda is hanging with Kate in the hallway, and Lizzie is at her locker, and she turns around and sees Miranda, and they have this full-on, stare down. They're like...
You know, I had made a note about that, and it was about, I'm just going to call them baby bangs. Because Miranda has her hair, clipped back with all of these, little wispies, but they're, wispies that are straight across her forehead, and it's just, literally the least flattering thing I've ever seen.
I noticed that, too. I was like, when did her bangs get that short? And I think it was because she had them clipped back. But they literally just stare at each other like this in the hallway for 10 seconds.
Oh my goodness.
Obviously you two want to have a conversation, so somebody have the conversation.
Yeah.
Gosh.
What about line of the episode?
Let me go look. Definitely not the monologues we get from animated Lizzie or the best friend comment at the end. Bottom of the pyramid.
For me, it's when Gordo and Lizzie are in the library, and she says, is it like a game show in your head?
Yeah, that one was good. I thought the Randa was funny.
Oh, and the strip poker. Strip poker was really good.
That was good.
And honestly, respect, because the first 3 episodes, the line of the episode has not gone to Lizzie McGuire herself.
That's true. I feel like we're going to be at a turning point now that we've gotten this episode out of the way.
I think so too.
Because
I think this laid essential groundwork, but like, if we're rating 1 through 5 stars, like this episode would be like a 1.5 for me.
Yeah. Also, we got to take a moment to acknowledge this is the last time we will see Danny Kessler.
Goodbye, Danny.
Because, spoiler alert, I already watched episode 5 yesterday. Because do you know which one it is?
Nuh-uh.
It's the rhythmic gymnastics episode.
My favorite episode!
So next week we will be doing, I think it's called I've Got Rhythm.
Yes.
And he's not in that one, and there's no mention of him. So, yeah, I didn't realize that rhythmic gymnastics came that early in
I didn't think so
series.
either, because the rhythmic gymnastics era is like such a moment for Lizzie.
It is. I wish she.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. I'm gonna have so much to say.
I know.
So much. So next week, everybody strap in for a 1.5 hour long episode, because I will have so many thoughts and so many embarrassing things to reveal about myself as a child.
Yes. I already watched it, because I watched the episode a couple times as we prepare for this, because they're only like 20 minutes long. And I already have some thoughts. So I'm going to jot those down on the Google Doc next week, and
Amazing.
We'll go over that.
Well,
we'll need to block out some time for this one.
Yeah.
This is right on par with, like, the murder mystery episode for me.
Oh,
I said in a previous episode Grubby Gulch was my favorite. It's one of my favorites, but I think murder mystery is my favorite. That's a good one.
Rhythmic gymnastics is one of my favorites, and the El Dia de los Muertos episode.
How can I forget that one? That one lives in a league of its own to me. Like,
It does. It does. It's so far above the rest.
Yes. It is, like, not even comparable to the rest of them. So.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us for this recap of episode 4. Please make sure to like, subscribe, rate us 5 stars on whatever platform you listen to. And until next week, we're outie.